Good afternoon and welcome to this week's More Weekly Workshop Diary. I have had a little bit of a quieter week than normal this week because my son's been sick and he's needed me to stay home a few days to look after him. So I've actually only been here 3 days this week, or kind of 2.5. And in that time I've been working on kind of upgraded Naked Mortys. If you guys asked me with their wallets if I could upgrade them into finished Mortys, which I said yes, because I've made a few now and it's nice to kind of mix these up a little bit. So I've been doing that, so getting first layers of oil on a few guitars, and a lot of sanding, a lot of network, fretwork, etc, etc. But yeah, it's been pretty good. I have had a lot of questions about things people wanted to talk or me to talk about, so I'm going to go straight into that, I think, because that worked really, really well last time. So then, right, so some interesting questions. Right, what's going on inside your guitars? That was asked by Björg. Well, if it's a solid body, just wood. If it's a hollow body, air. And maybe some wires dangling around for the pickups. They are, the hollows are totally hollow. I have made a few with tone blocks, mainly for having a tunematic bridge, being able to mount a tunematic bridge into something. You can't have a tunematic bridge on a totally hollow guitar because there has to be something for the pins to screw into. But aside from that, if it's a hollow body, it's just air, air and tone and probably dust. And if it's solid, of course, it's just solid. So that's what's happening inside my guitars, and a bit of magic. What philosophies do I follow in designing pickups? I think I'm very happy that I wind my own pickups for 98% of my. I think only one build this year I didn't make the pickups for. And actually they're great pickups. There are these Lindy Fraylin big singles for Will's kind of S-type guitar. That was a great guitar. But I think there's something to it where the same person that's sanding and oiling and choosing the wood is the same person that is answering your emails and talking to the customers about what type of sound they want and winding the pickup. So in the back of my head, whilst I'm winding a pickup, this is the winding motion because you're scatter winding her. Or actually, it's mainly my right hand. I'm actually left-handed, but I wind right-handed. I think having an idea of the overall when you're making a pickup really, really helps. Of course, there are fantastic, boutique pickup winders, but I think that, in my opinion, you get a much more cohesive build when it's the same person winding the pickups as carving the neck. Everything has a little effect on everything else, and there's like a balancing act. And I've actually found that pickups react very differently to setup. The height of the pickup. So being able to experiment a little bit with winding slightly hotter pickups but dropping them further into the guitar, or the opposite, having colder pickups or more vintage spec but close to the strings. They're like, I think being able to wind and build just kind of, yeah. So what philosophy do I bring to it is just kind of whatever the customer wants. Some customers just trust me to do my thing, and everyone's been happy so far. Some customers give me very specific, what they want in terms of outputs. But yeah, I'm not trying to reinvent anything. I have a few pickups that I've done that have been pretty unique, but I'm not, I'm not a genius when it comes to pickups. I mainly use Alnico 5 magnets. It's it's pretty conservative ideas, but I think just really getting them dialed in right is kind of the thing that maybe sets me apart. Right then, so then what else do we have? When will we see a double neck Wayfair? Culture Guitarist podcast asked me that. When they bloody order one. I would love to make a double neck Wayfair. It'd be cool to have like a mandolin maybe, or a bass, or maybe like a double neck this way, like that. That's the shredding guy. You can kind of tap. Yeah, I mean, I'm fresh for it. It'd be really, really cool. Someone just has to order it. I'm not going to make one for fun because I have, I haven't made one stock guitar this year. I think I made one stock guitar all of last year. And next year I know I'm not going to make any, and the year after that probably not any, unless I convince my my partner to let me come into work even more than I already do, which I don't think is going to happen because I have to have a life, unfortunately. Information about P90s. They're just the best. I think actually the first guitar I built, for myself, that is, prototype number one, had P90s in it, and they've kind of been my go-to pickup ever since. I feel like they're very honest actually, and I think they suit my guitars an awful lot. My guitars are very resonant and are also quite honest, and I feel like P90s, I like the way that they compress. I like how they feel under the fingers. I like how they kind of react to how you play. Yeah, I feel like they are a lot warmer and fuller to my ears than a traditional single coil, and I don't really like humbuckers. I don't like how they feel so much. Obviously, there's a type of music that you can only really play with humbuckers, but in my opinion, a single coil is kind of the guitar sound, and of the single coils, I think I like P90s the most. Obviously, almost all my guitars have P90s in. I also like mini humbuckers an awful lot and fiber pickups quite a lot. I mean, I like humbuckers too, but P90s, they're just, I think they are, if you could only have one guitar, I think I would have, I've done it so many times. If you can have one guitar with one pickup in it, it would be a P90 because they're just great. Get one. Buy one of mine. And, right, what's next up? Which music genre is best and why is it rock? Well, you've answered yourself there. Guitars and their weights, do they affect sound? I think that a lighter guitar, in my experience anyway, has a bit more resonance, which leads to there being more sustain. And there is this kind of age-old thing of like heavier guitars sustain really well. And I just think that's because guitars that were heavier tended to have humbuckers on them, like Les Pauls. So yeah, and humbuckers generally sustain quite nicely. Yeah, so the guitars that I have, they are the lightweight. I have never had a time where I thought this guitar would sound better if it was heavier. And so far, across the board, every guitar that I have, given to a customer, they have said that it's been, the most resonant guitar they've had, or just that it is so different in terms of how much more alive it feels. And I think that's only a good thing. So lightweight, without even thinking about the benefits ergonomically, and until I get a bad back. Without even thinking about that, I think the benefits of sound for me are very much there. Yeah. Anyway, what's next? There's some rude questions. If I were to buy a guitar and modify it to my liking, what would I start off with? A Naked Morty. What kind of styles are possible to play on more guitars? Anything, absolutely anything. I have, thrash metal guitarists on my waiting list, jazz guitarists, singer-songwriters, electronic artists, anything and anybody. Anything. Challenge it. You see. Right, what's next? How do I keep the organisation? It's bloody hard. I'm just basically working all the time. It's just me. I'm answering every Instagram message. I am filming this right now. I am tidying up after I film it. I am, ordering stock. How do I keep an organisation? Is just by trying to prioritise quite carefully and thinking about what's the most important thing to do today, and also trying to not do too much at the same time. It's very, tempting. I have some really exciting builds coming up next year. Some really cool projects that I am desperate to start, but I know that I prioritizing my time is really, really important. So finishing off some of the builds of this year, and so just I organize by prioritizing quite carefully and by not sleeping very much. and also having a very, very forgiving partner. She's great. What else do I do here? Make some crazy guitars with built-in effects, please. That is happening. I have actually, I've already built a Strat with a heavily modded Tube Screamer built in, and I have a few guitars on my waiting list with inbuilt preamps actually, and with a ton of headroom that are very kind of very neat, elegant circuits that have long battery life. They have to have 9 volts, unfortunately. And I guess if you can. A piezo isn't really a crazy circuit, but I have a few with piezos in too. I would like to have a... Yeah, it's tricky with circuits. I think I am more going into like there being less and that being better. Because I think that with a lot of effects, you would maybe get a little bit bored of it. I mean, I'm selling myself out here because, of course, I do have customers that want me to build effects into their guitars, but if I only have one guitar myself, I think I would not have anything in it, but I'm not sure. I don't know. Ask me tomorrow. Maybe I'll change my mind. People often say good tone comes from players, not from gear. This is totally true. If you have amazing tone, and my little brother actually, my little brother's a great guitarist. He's a great blues guitarist. He sounds great on anything. I think his main guitar, he doesn't have one of mine, his main guitar is a Pacifica, and he sounds killing on it, absolutely killing. And you give him any guitar, he sounds killing. So totally that's true. But good gear, oh, my chair is not so even. Good gear is much more inspiring to play. Good tone, like absolutely, yeah, great tone is in the hands. But you know, if you're playing through a Line 6 Spider, sorry if you have a Line 6 Spider, chances are it's not going to be that inspiring to play. Or like, so yes, of course, Stevie Ray Vaughan would sound incredible playing anything. But we're not all Stevie Ray Vaughan, unfortunately. Of course, my guitars won't make you sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan, but they might inspire you to practice enough to get a little bit closer to how he sounds. I mean, there are times where you have like, you know, I'm always trying gear out. I'm always trying my guitars and different pickups, and I'm very lucky in that I have some fantastic amps and some great pedals, some really nice pedals actually. And I've played these in great gear. And there are times when you're playing something and the sound is so inspiring that it kind of pushes you in new directions. Good gear can definitely do that. And you know, ergonomically, my guitars are very comfortable. My necks are, I think they're very, very good. So they don't, nothing gets in the way. You know, I have I got one here, a neck joint. Oh! Like for example. Nothing's going to get in the way of that whilst you're playing. So if you're going for upper fret access, if you are brave enough to play up high, then you know my guitars aren't going to get in the way. And whereas you know a traditional telly, I mean it's not, you know, it's not a disaster, but it's not as good as this. And then of course fretwork. You know, good guitars will have good fretwork. These frets aren't done yet. You know, very guitars are very smooth frets, very even frets. So that, I mean, yeah, of course. Stevie Ray Vaughan sound incredible on the Squire, obviously, but great gear is inspiring and not limiting. That's my take on it anyway.